absurdity there. Nice. Is this some kind of joke?
Good things can still happen.
What's wrong with you? You mean someone stole your badge?
I'm not a real police officer. You are.
What the What are you doing?
If you could only find your gun.
Disco Elysium. The final cut.
Cześć, ja jestem Geeks, witajcie w kolejnym odcinku z gry Disco Elysium. W poprzednim odcinku udało nam się w końcu zlokalizować kryptozoologa Morella. No i chyba nawet udało mi się go przekonać do tego, aby powrócił do swojej żony, o czym muszę ją poinformować. No ale jeszcze nie skończyłem z nim rozmawiać, także wróćmy do tej rozmowy.
Hello, hello. What can I do for you, officer?
Proszę opowiedzieć mi o tych pułapkach.
Well, they may not look impressive, but Leny designed them quite cleverly, so I'm sure they'll do the trick.
Lena opracowała pułapki?
Yes.
Potwierdzę z odrobiną dumy w głosie. Jak działają te pułapki?
Simple. Attracted by the locusts, the phasmid crawls down the funnel and, having eaten its fill, can't get back out. At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton.
Okej, czego używa pan jako przynęty?
Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course, but we've hypothesized that the insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects.
O ile istnieje.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a tiny, chittering swarm. A meat-eating stick insect? Does it pretend to be the reeds as part of its ambush behavior? This seems unlikely.
Mięsożerny, patykowaty insekt? Brzmi mało prawdopodobnie.
Thank you for your opinion. We have also included plant material in the traps to satiate your skepticism.
Not a big fan of skepticism, this one.
Najwyraźniej. Co pan zrobi, jeśli pułapki nie zdadzą egzaminu?
They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait, accounts for the failure of previous efforts by other teams, which use plants. We have given this some thought.
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear the cryptozoologist's wife knows what she's doing.
Mogę spytać o coś innego?
Yes. What?
Lena wydaje się niecierpliwie wyczekiwać pańskiego powrotu.
And I'm eager to return to her, I assure you. But I can't leave before we've finished with these traps. My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
Spogląda na wschód. Gdzieś tam czeka teraz Lena.
Come on, Morell. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back.
And leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let Lena down.
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
Won't let Lena down? Sounds like the cryptozoologist's wife shares a special connection to the phasmid somehow.
Dzięki, empatia. Nie wiedziałem, że straszyk jest dla Leny taki ważny.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting, on record. One of only 4 this century, and it's hers.
She's seen it?
Naprawdę? Widziała straszyka? Nie mówiła mi tego.
Yes, that's how we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine.
Needless to say, you must ask her about the mysterious phasmid.
Ano.
Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian phasmid together. I can't abandon course now.
Kolejny atak kaszlu, tym razem stłumionego w pięści.
His spirit may be willing, but his body might be too old to endure the rigors of the coast.
Może moglibyście wrócić do Whirling, trochę się rozgrzać, a pułapki wrócić sprawdzić później?
No. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel?
He's dead set on this. I could go for some trap setting.
No właśnie, może by tak mu pomóc. Czyli pewnie zręczne palce będą potrzebne. A gdybyśmy sprawdzili dla pana te pułapki?
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer.
Patrzy na ciebie z nieukrywanym zaskoczeniem. Cóż mogę powiedzieć? Wchodzę po maksie w temat tej kryptydy. Wciągnąłem się.
Caught the bug, I see. It's easier to get caught up in the search than you'd imagine.
Gdzie są te pułapki?
There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses there. It's very near. Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there, on your way to the old radio tower, after the church.
Kurdeż, tam byłem.
The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them... You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry.
Co mam zrobić, jeśli w którejś z pułapek będzie straszyk?
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight.
He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even to himself.
A jeśli spotkam straszyka na wolności?
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed.
O, w mordę.
Did you hear that? Pheromones. You were right about the teenagers.
A więc to faktycznie straszyk zmusił nastolatków do całowania się?
Oh, I doubt there is any connection there. Anyway, these pheromones will attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent. Should last you about a week.
Na tydzień? Jezu. O, no dobra, spróbuję. Dawaj pan, tylko dużo. Odsłoń pachę. Pokrywa cię sprayem o dziwnej woni i jeszcze dokładka pod drugą pachę, po czym ukontentowany kiwa głową.
This is the smell of dying reeds, of longing crumbling into the water.
Mordę. Przez ten smród pewnie będzie mi się ciężko umówić z Lilien, tak sobie myślę.
I hope you're not buying this. It dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it would be precious like holy water.
It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research.
Jestem gotów. Bierzmy się do pracy.
Right, which means you two can pack up and go back to the whirling.
Whatever he thinks about this detour, it's clear that these men are exhausted and in need of assistance.
Finally, someone's talking sense.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask. We'll be gone once you get to it.
If it's more cryptid-related business you want to discuss, you'll have time for that later too.
Okej.
But what if the information is vital? On the hunt.
No właśnie. Dobra, gadam dalej. Jak został pan kryptozoologiem?
I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both.
He seems reluctant to talk about himself, but he'll open up, if you prod a little.
Sporo tutaj jest rzutów na wewnętrzne imperium, przekonywanie, na te fioletowe. Chyba sobie troszeczkę to podbiję. Dobra, na razie dziękuję za wyjaśnienie. Mam jeszcze jedno pytanie.
Yes.
Ale czekajcie, jak ja skończę z nim rozmawiać, to on sobie pójdzie? Może tak być. Dobra,
It's truly not that
wróćmy.
special. What is cryptozoology anyway? It's derogative. I just like puzzles, like any scientist.
A więc spełnia pan tutaj swoje marzenie z dzieciństwa.
It's not child's play, just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often.
Czemu nie został pan zwykłym zoologiem? Prawdziwe zwierzęta też bywają zagadkowe.
Real. I know you think one is a respectable profession, while the other is superstition. Everyone does.
Ja nie. To zawód jak każdy inny. Nie chcę go jakoś zniechęcać.
Indeed. My methods do not differ from other scientists. I simply draw upon a wider variety of evidence. And I have more hope that something truly surprising might happen.
Your nerve endings tell you there is no such thing as a positive surprise.
A przydarzyło się kiedyś panu coś naprawdę zaskakującego?
No, as I said, I have yet to catch a cryptid, although I have come close. Close enough to keep trying.
Interesting. Something for later, this close call.
Jakiego rodzaju dowody pan wykorzystuje?
Everything from forgotten regional lore to newspaper accounts, like the one that brought us here, to look for the phasmid. I keep a very open mind.
Czyli nie odkrył pan nigdy kryptydy?
No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid.
Ile kryptyd jak dotąd znaleziono?
Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemney, which is 4,082 items long,
Wow.
about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes. 2 are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection.
To niezły mają wynik. Jak na razie potwierdzone są 2 z 4082. Zajebiście. Udowodniono prawdziwość tylko 2?
Yes, the Chateauquan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Grad, who is, honestly, quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere. We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves, more so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching.
Dobra, będę miły dla niego, co by się nie działo. Kiwnij z aprobatą głową. W takim razie insulidiański straszyk będzie 3.
Indeed. If our expedition is successful, every paper in the world will report on it. From Revachol to Dushantu. It will be a zoological miracle.
Ja na pewno.
The hair on your arms stand up. Electricity. Sounds like reeds hissing. He has clearly done his math on this. There is no surprising him or swaying his opinion.
Najwyraźniej. Dobra, dziękuję za wyjaśnienie. Mam jeszcze inne pytanie.
Yes.
Porozmawiajmy. Albo wiecie co, później z nim pogadam o tych kryptydach. Zapytam o to. A pan wiedział, że Gary ukrywał pancerz?
Hell no. I had no idea. And I'm still cross with him, to be honest. It's not like him. He's got his quirks, but dishonesty, disloyalty are not one of them.
Thanks.
Mamrocza mężczyzna w oddali. Nie odważa się powiedzieć nic więcej.
He's still glad his friend stood up for him.
Dobra, pójdę już. Dobra, ci gości nadal tutaj są. Pojawiło się zadanko sprawdź pułapki. Dobrze. Okej, to najpierw sobie pójdę na zachód. Przy szopach na łodzie na zachód od budynku Felda. A, jeszcze jedna pułapka jest tutaj. Przepraszam, gdzie? Gdzieś tutaj w obozie powinno być. O! Co tu się pojawiło? Czekajcie, widzę jakieś śmietki. Nie mogę tego wziąć, zebrać? Nie. No dobra. Pytanko, jak ja zauważę te pułapki? Może powinienem sobie troszeczkę podbić percepcję? O, dobra, tu są te szopy. Okej. Mam nadzieję, że przez ten jego spray mnie tam nie zaatakują te pszczoły.
There's a trap in the reeds at your feet. Looks like the same one you saw Morell set before. Same mesh, same wiring.
Wiecie co? Tu będą rzuty pewnie na zręczne palce. Czekajcie, to... O, te rękawice Fairweather są dobre. Chyba nic więcej na zręczne palce w zasadzie nie mam. Spróbujmy.
There's a trap in the reeds at your feet. Looks
Dobra,
like the same one
rozejrzyj
you
się.
saw behind you. The ruins of a residential building rise over the reeds, shielding them from the wind. When this district was booming, the reeds were kept at bay. Nothing obscured the freshly painted facades. Nowhere for drunks and adventurous teenagers to hide. Now only the wind blows.
Sięgnij ku pułapce.
Locusts are crawling around in the trap, confused but uneaten. You see no carnivorous reed phasmid gorging on them.
Big surprise. Anyway, 1 down, 3 to go.
Co tu powiedzieć? Nie ma co się uśmiechać. Nie spodziewam się, że coś znajdę. Pomagam kilku obywatelom i zażywam świeżego powietrza. Nie, ja chcę iść w to, że niby w to wierzę. Będzie w następnej, na pewno.
Surely. Anyway,
Oj. Znowu coś przyminąłem, przepraszam. Pominąłem.
Nothing has changed about this trap. You need to check the others.
No dobra. Okej. Tu jeszcze taka ciekawostka. Tu gdzieś stoi niedzielny przyjaciel. O! Nie ma go już o tej porze. No dobra. To jednak nie ma ciekawostki. Wydawało mi się, że on tutaj gdzieś stał. Okej, czyli tak. Przy kanale. Na krańcu, daleko na północny wschód od budynku Felda. No dobra, to tam sobie pójdę. Okej, jest i kolejna pułapka.
A familiar apparatus lies among the reeds. Another one of Morell's traps, weighed down by stones to keep it in place.
Rozejrzyj się.
The reeds sway in the coastal breeze. They seem to be waiting for something. The wind picks up here, near the cape's end, surrounding the narrow strip of land from 3 cardinal directions. It's cold for this time of year.
Dobrze, sięgnij ku pułapce.
This trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of any cryptozoological beast inside.
Another empty trap.
Jak tam trening cardio, poruczniku? Ja się bawię całkiem nieźle.
Always up for a good jog. Otherwise, would I still be on this case with you?
Porucznik uśmiecha się i stawia kołnierz swojej kurtki. Jest wietrzny. Dobra, odejdź. No to lecimy do trzeciej. Ona powinna być gdzieś przy śluzie, przez którą przyszedłem. No dobra, jest i ostatnia pułapka. Sprawdźmy. Przedostatnia.
This trap's not too hard to spot, once you know what to look for. Keeping it hidden has not been a priority for the cryptozoologist.
Okej, chwileczkę, coś tutaj się pojawiło. Przed tobą betonowe umocnienia sprzed dziesiątek lat. Dziś bawią się na nich dzieci. Przez to, że mam taki strój i sporo punktów w encyklopedii, to czasem jakieś nowe rzeczy mi się pojawiają. No dobra,
This
pułapka.
trap's not too hard to spot, once
Rozejrzyj
you
się.
know what to look for. The reeds bend forlornly toward the water. Some tufts have been crushed. The broken stalks sickly pale against the darkness. In the east, the city center hums to you. The constant, distant song, louder on this part of the coast, nearer somehow. And there's that cold again. Always the cold.
Sięgnij ku pułapce.
Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we're done.
Szkoda, że go tu nie było.
I'm just glad we haven't found some poor cat trapped in one of these.
W sumie racja. Dobra, jeszcze jeden jest w samym obozie kryptozoologów. W sumie ciekawa opcja. Tylko wiecie co, zanim tam pójdę, skoczę sobie jeszcze może do Leny i powiem jej, że znalazłem jej męża. Może mi powie coś ciekawego na ten temat. No dobra, jesteśmy z powrotem w Whirling. Jest i Lena, to jest ta kobieta na wózku. O! Menu na wczoraj napisała kobieca ręka, dzisiejsze już męska. Ciekawe.
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again.
Natknąłem się na wybrzeżu na pani męża.
Goodness, how is he? Did he say why he hasn't returned yet?
Staruszka splata dłonie na swoim kocu.
He's fine, ma'am. As we had suspected, he couldn't get back earlier because the water lock on the canal was broken. Now he's just finishing up some work.
Oh, yes. That's my Morell. He's bound to catch a cold staying out there for so long. But I am so relieved to hear that he's okay.
Nice.
Thank you for putting an old woman's heart at ease, if
Aw.
even a little.
Milutko.
You haven't, however. There are dangers out there. Our aging body's foul. Her heart won't rest until Morell is safely back with her.
Okej. Nie mówiła pani, że widziała straszyka?
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Nie, ja naprawdę chcę wiedzieć.
Reflexively, the lieutenant read his familiar notebook.
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When, all of a sudden...
Zaraz, gdzie to było i ile miała pani lat?
I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5.5 in Betancourt in the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there.
She'd just started forming memories. Real memories. Not the billowy haze of infanthood.
Imponujące.
Betancourt got bombed in the war. It used to be quite near, circa 20 kilometers from here.
Co się stało?
The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it.
Okej.
She had no fear, just surprise.
I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds.
Śledziła ją pani?
I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there knee-deep in mud, looking around me.
Where did you go? Don't go.
Co było dalej?
I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys, that sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morell. We were on our first date when I told him my story. You should have seen his face. He said my descriptions matched the phasmid down to a T. Its white marble limbs, the way it moved.
So that's how they met. This is beyond significant for them.
Byliście na randce?
Our first. Yes.
Starsza kobieta wzdycha z rozrzewnieniem. Ten stwór ma białe odnóża?
Not all of them, as far as I remember. Some of them, on the inside, like stalks of marble, if that makes sense.
Jak duże było to stworzenie?
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
Może to był tylko wytwór twojej wyobraźni, Leno?
Of course. I've thought about it. But Morell says my report matches with the others. And I'm sure I hadn't heard of the phasmid as a child. Nor had my mother or my grandmother. So how did I know what to imagine? It was only when I started telling my story as a teenager that boys would tell me, Lena, you trying to tell us you saw the Insul Indian phasmid out there in those reeds? Get out of here. They just give me a cider and ruffle my hair and tell me to stop dreaming. But I saw it.
Kim, co ty o tym sądzisz?
I thought it was a wonderful story, man.
Zamyka swój notatnik i obdarza Lenę uśmiechem.
But I don't believe it. A child left unattended on a warm day. Children make up stories and then end up believing them.
No ja też tak myślę. Dziękuję za tę opowieść.
You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
And she could get up and walk right into the reeds on her own, into the mud, anywhere.
No tak. Wspomnienia z dzieciństwa, co? No dobra. Niech sobie żyje tymi wspomnieniami. W porządku, w takim razie wrócimy sobie teraz do Morella. Ale jeszcze po drodze chciałem wam pokazać, bo jak szukałem tych pułapek, to pojawiło mi się parę uczuć dreszczy, które chciałem mi coś powiedzieć. Na przykład tutaj przy tych pijaczkach, zobaczcie.
A drop in temperature, an easy flow of air, an empty street. Before you, a thoroughfare unjammed with lorries. No more drivers smoking on hitch steps. Just silence.
Jak pachniał ten dym.
Chemically sweetened. Across the road, a forgotten bus stop. Corrosion has opened a hole in its roof. An elm tree watches over the building. Its branches are dripping with rain and snow. The road is smooth and motley. Craters filled with a black asphalt. The asphalt, first laid, is grey already. A row of tenements are under construction in the distance.
Kto mieszka po drugiej stronie ulicy?
A tub warm with water, white with soap. A man bathes while radio waves transmit the lottery numbers. 4, 18, 21, 4, 1. A modern washing machine rattles a drawer full of silverware. His boyfriend is on his way home. He brings tins of meat and vegetables with him. Their pockets are heavier with money, but only slightly.
Co z tym przystankiem?
Number 312D. Young girls used to come here, huddled up, hoping for more warmth than their thin coats give them. The bus took them to school. It has not run for 8 years. There were not enough girls to sustain its cost.
A droga?
Craters pocked the surface. Children played in them until heavy trucks full of black pitch rolled in. The landowners have filled the craters with money. It is a vital artery of the flow of trade. There's one bump on the road. A dead dog lies flat about 200 paces away, right at the turn.
Martwy pies?
Tragedy comes from the wheels of a fast RCM vehicle, hurrying to work. The cold washes over you. The sound of the sea has grown distant.
Dosyć już. Zakończ myśl.
The wind moves the aerosol. A detective stands behind the boom barrier. A breeze moves a curl of his hair.
Na końcu ta myśl wspomniała coś o aerozolu. Czyżby to przez to, że ten gość mnie tym wypsikał, czy coś w tym stylu? To byłoby ciekawe. Znalazłem jeszcze jedno uczucie dreszczy przy kościele, ale na razie chyba sobie to odpuszczę i skoczę po prostu do Morella z powrotem. Czas zakończyć to zadanko. Tylko dziwne, bo była mowa tutaj o tym, żeby sprawdzić... Ach, dobra, jest ta pułapka, ale gdzie oni są? Właśnie chciałem powiedzieć, że była mowa, żeby sprawdzić pułapkę w ich obozie, a nie mogłem z nią wejść w interakcję. Ale dobra.
This is the last of the traps. The one Morell just set. Checking it over, he said, is just a technicality.
No dobra, rozejrzyj się.
The reeds hiss and shake in the darkness that has settled over the abandoned camp. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow.
Sięgnij ku pułapce.
The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here.
Okej, przyjrzyj się dokładniej.
No locust.
Nie ma szarańczy.
No phasmid either, but still.
Mogę coś tam krzyknąć? Nie. Przyjrzyj się jeszcze uważniej.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a reed monster, though. Unless you see one in there, I just see an empty trap.
The netting is a little untidy, messier than the others. Like someone or something picked the trap up and shook it before dropping it back down on the ground.
A co jeśli to był straszyk? Co jeśli je zjadł i się wydostał?
Right. Anyway, that's for the cryptozoologists to figure out now. We are not cryptozoologists. We are cops.
Ja wybiorę jakąś
The
inną
reeds
opcję.
hit, the later it gets,
Aha.
the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be
Dobra,
seen in
nic
the
więcej nie
sand.
mogę zrobić. Odejdź. Nie ma tutaj gdzieś tego dziada ukrytego? Chyba nie. Dobra, w takim razie trzeba po prostu wrócić do tego Morella. No dobrze, jestem z powrotem. Jak widzicie, obaj goście są tutaj już na miejscu. Zagadam najpierw z nim.
It's great to see you again, officer. My wife can't wait to thank you. Go on, talk to her.
Okej. Dobra, to jeszcze może z tym kolesiem. Ciekawe, czy ma jakieś nowe opcje dialogowe.
Boy, am I ever so grateful to you, officer. But I'm not the only one who wants to thank you.
Stwierdza, wskazując skinieniem głowy Leny. W takim razie porozmawiam z nią. Odejdź. Dobra, nie mam wyboru. Zgaszę tę latarkę. Będę mi świecić w oczy. I założę sobie... O! Na elektrochemię. Dobrze.
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you.
To była naprawdę godna eposu daleka podróż.
Truly a lot of legwork. My partner adores these kinds of things.
Porucznik nadal próbuje złapać oddech.
Here, I want to give you a small token of my gratitude.
O,
It's a tie, Mexican origin. The pin is an antique, quite special.
okej. Krawat ośmiookiego teratorna? Wow.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull with 8 eyes.
Ciekawe.
You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course, is more important.
W sumie tak. To jeszcze zagadam o tych kryptydach.
Of course, dear. Is there a particular cryptid that you're interested in learning about?
Czekajcie, ten ptak też jest kryptydą? Wskaż krawat, który ci dała.
Of course.
Czekajcie, najpierw muszę zobaczyć ten krawat. Nie wiem, o co chodzi. O kurde, jaki dziwny. Krawat ośmiookiego teratorna. +1 do wewnętrznego imperium. Zośmiokrotniony wzrok. +1 do siły woli. Ochrona kryptydy. Ale fajne, założę sobie go. Fajne. Cienki krawat bolo spinany zabytkową klabrą w kształcie ptasiej czaszki z 8 oczodołami. Choć budzi ona niepokój, nie możesz oderwać wzroku. Fajne. No dobra.
Oh,
No
hello,
powiedz mi o
sweetie.
tym.
Of course, dear. Is there a particular cryptid that you're
Ten
interested
ptak
in
też
learning
jest
about?
kryptydą. Wskaż krawat, który ci dała.
No. It's the cryptid.
O raju. Król kryptyd?
Oh, yes.
Mała srebrzysta czaszka zwieńczona ostrym dziobem połyskuje w twojej dłoni. No dobrze, to co to za ptak?
The eight-eyed teratorn, the largest flying avian ever discovered, with a wingspan of 11.5 meters.
Jezu.
It was thought to have gone extinct 3,500 years ago. Some even doubted the fossils were real. A mutation, they said. Until...
Brzmi jak dinozaur, no ale żył zbyt późno.
Mutation? Huh. All of evolution is a mutation.
Dopóki?
Until it was cited by renowned Gotwaldian explorer and naturalist Uwe Plattenkalk in 21.
This renown seems a bit dubious. Your own catalogue comes up completely empty, but, of course, you are not all-knowing.
Muszę się dowiedzieć, kiedy go widziano.
It happened on a botanical expedition into the vast and unexplored Oamrau Canyon in southeast Ilmara. Dr. Plattenkalk got separated from his group during a sandstorm.
No dobrze, a Uamrao to?
The world's largest canyon system, sweetie. It's a barren waste east of the Erg Desert, an ancient riverbed completely dried up.
Co się stało?
Alone in the blasted desert heat, the doctor wandered eastward, where man hasn't stepped foot in over 1,000 years, since the fall of Pericarnassus.
Ojej.
He was lost, without any navigation equipment and desperately low on water. After a day or two, he noticed a bird high in the noon sky. A great black bird, it seemed gargantuan.
No przecież ten koleś miał Fata Morganę. Z wycieńczenia i braku wody. Co ona bredzi?
Every now and then, the bird would dive down to feed on an animal carcass somewhere on the horizon. But by the time Uwe got there, the teratorn had taken off already, and the carcass was picked clean. This happened many times.
Eat the bird, Uwe. It's the only way to survive.
Śledził ptaka?
Yes, or rather hunting. A bird that big has a lot of blood in it, and he was dying of thirst. For many days, Dr. Plottenkalk followed the Teratorn until they reached a great canyon wall where the bird finally landed to rest. The professor climbed up there with a rock in his hand. He found the bird sleeping with his head tucked under its wing, a great black pile of feathers on the perch. So he approached, slowly squeezing the rock in his fist. Then the Teratorn suddenly looked at him. He could see it had 8 eyes, 4 on either side of its skull, like a spider. And the man couldn't move. He was paralyzed, frozen into place with the rock in his hand. Whatever he did, he could not get closer to the bird.
Dlaczego?
The bird was controlling his mind.
O Boże.
It kept him from approaching. He could step back, but every time he stepped forward, paralysis. Uwe spent 3 days trying until the bird flew away.
Ośmiooki kontrolujący umysły ptak. Zajebiście.
Absolutely, sweetie. Cryptozoologists have been tracing it ever since, but Wamrau is vast, mysterious, and holds many secrets.
Modern radar telemetry shows great promise. We will confirm this one by the end of the decade, latest.
Ta, na pewno.
This one I liked. Not only does it have 8 eyes, and is a living fossil, and the largest bird ever to live, it also does mind control.
No, nieźle. I wtedy ostatni raz go widziano?
Sadly, yes, but there are numerous reports of 8-eyed bird skulls from Il Mara. And then there's the striking resemblance to the Pericarnassian imperial eagle, an ancient heraldic symbol that is hard to pass off as coincidence. The imperial eagle, too, had 8 eyes.
Ciekawe.
Very, very hard.
This one's very famous. Everyone knows it. People will be looking at that tie on you and thinking, that man is into cryptids. So, what else do you want to know?
Dobra, już o tych kryptydach to chyba wiem wszystko. Wiele się nauczyłem, ale musimy niestety porozmawiać o czymś innym.
Of course, dear.
Na tę chwilę to wszystko, proszę pani. Ojejku. I co, to zadanie zostało zakończone? A, jeszcze nie. Okej, ale to zadanko zakończymy sobie już w kolejnym odcinku. Mam nadzieję, że odcinek wam się podobał. Jeżeli tak, zostawcie łapkę w górę, subskrypcję, a jeżeli macie ochotę pogadać, no to i komentarz. Ja zawsze chętnie je czytam. Widzimy się w kolejnych odcinkach. Trzymajcie się. Wszystkiego dobrego. Cześć!